Welcome back to the Getting to Know Denver podcast. We're super excited to be here with episode 144 today. I want you to just imagine here, okay, Denver homeowners, you're about to list your property. You've put thousands and thousands of dollars into investing into upgrades, updates, so that your home looks great. You've been following, guidance that you've seen online, maybe making it look awesome. And then a buyer pulls up into your driveway for the first time, and 10 seconds later, they've checked out of your home completely, and they're not even interested. This happens more than you think, okay? And so today we're going to talk about first impressions, what kind of decisions buyers are making right off the bat in the first 10 seconds when they walk up to a home and when they walk inside the home for the first time. So let's get down to it. We're going to talk. I want to just talk about why first. Why do first impressions matter so much? Why is that so important?
It's important. So one thing that a lot of people will see the home on the internet and then go see it in person, and that emotional response can sway their perspective really, really quickly. Imagine like a rock at the top of a hill. It can go one direction and it'll go really, really well. And if they have a bad emotional impression, it'll go the other direction. So they'll either focus on a lot of the possibilities like, oh, it's just some paint colors or the carpet's a little old, or they'll kind of just form that opinion if they like the layout and the structure, and you walk in and there's not a weird smell to the home. But if they walk in and, their grandma's curtains are up and it just feels like you go back into time warp or something like that, what'll end up happening is they'll focus on all the problems. Yeah. They'll like, oh, carpet, and they're like doing a running tally. Like, okay, I need to do carpet. I need to paint. Oh, that's a lot of work. And like the honeydew list just expands really, really quickly. And if it's the right price, some people can overlook that. Some people are savvy enough to do that. But that first impression it's very polarizing. It's like one way or the other. There's not really a mid ground, because people that are sitting on the fence, they just never seem to want to get off that fence. You can't convince them enough. So it's a challenge there. So, yeah. So there is a lot of judgment, and it happens. So, but it starts before they even open the door, right? So you're talking about curb appeal. So right from the minute when they pull up. So why does the outside of the home? Let's start from there.
So the exterior is a big part of it too. Like the landscaping, driveway, walkway, front door, and just the overall curb appeal. I've had some buyers that have literally driven up to a showing and said, it's okay, we can skip this one.
Next.
Yeah. So it really does matter.
Didn't even go inside. There could have been $200,000 in updates.
Yeah.
Didn't even go inside. I've had that too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So buyers often assume that the condition they see outside reflects the condition they can't see inside, and just kind of what you guys were talking about. Like, they see a yard that looks like it would be terrible to maintain. It just turns their brain off, and then the rest of the house, they're not really even looking anymore.
Totally.
So.
And we just form opinions about what the inside is going to look at based on what the cover looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just natural human tendency. Like I was at a basketball tournament with my daughter in Indiana, and driving back home, we pulled off the road and we went to Michael Jackson's house that he grew up in Gary, Indiana. And Michael Jackson's house looks great. The houses around it, I mean, just like peeled paint, complete like rotted siding everywhere. It's a really rundown neighborhood and like really rough. And so I automatically jumped to the conclusion of, wow, if that's what it looks like on the outside, I wonder what it looks like on the inside, right? And I think every buyer is thinking that same thing when they walk up to a home and see that it's not in the best condition on the outside. So that matters big time.
Well, the stereotypes are true. There's been so many times where the curb appeal, when you walk into the home, it just continues.
Yeah.
So not always, right? But it's 10% of the time where you're surprised by it.
But I feel like the mistake sellers make is they put a ton of money, and they're like, they get this idea that like it's all about the kitchen, right? So we got to do the kitchen and make that look awesome. But then their exterior paint is 20 years old. And it's showing signs. This is just the more minor version of what we're talking about, right? Yep. It's the trim is rotted a little bit. You can see that the paint discoloration, it's faded a lot, sun faded maybe. And it's just been 3 times longer than it should have been, because you should paint every 7 years here in our Colorado weather. And so 20 years, you let that go. I can't tell you how many people I've walked through their house and I was like, when's the last time you painted? Don't even know. Have no idea. Yeah. Right? We've been here for 25 years. Never done it. It happens. It's like some paint just holds up really well, and then others, it's just like homeowners just don't really pay attention to it. And obviously, you have all kinds of types of homeowners. There's the meticulous type A ones too, but a lot of times this happens, and that homeowner, they may really care about what the inside looks like, but they just neglect the outside sometimes, and you can't do that if you want to get top dollar for your house.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing just like what exterior paint, or like, you know, if there's like a crack in the driveway, or, you know, different things like that. Like exterior paint makes a huge difference sometimes. And so it could be, you know, kind of what Brock was saying earlier, if the outside looks great, maybe when you go in the inside, if it's not as updated or the carpet is old or whatever, then they're starting to form a checklist that's going in the positive direction of like, we could make this work.
Yeah, it's possible.
Instead of the other direction where it's like, ooh, the outside is rough. And then they go inside, and even if they like what's inside, they're starting to like focus on the negative just because that's already where their mindset is.
Yeah, I kind of think the and then mentality, right? Oh, they haven't done the exterior maintenance. The siding needs to be replaced. And then I get inside, and then now I got to, and the carpet, and then this, and then this. And it just kind of seems to snowball, where if you win them over with something initially from either the curb appeal or, you know, just the initial first impressions inside the home, a lot of the other stuff like, oh, there's only one bathroom that's not updated or whatever it may be. Yeah. And they can kind of, oh, that's not so bad. I can handle that.
Totally.
So
but the buyer's thinking, if they're neglecting this, then what else are they neglecting? And, you know, it's hard in the summertime, especially. We're filming this in July. It's tough to keep up with the yard sometimes. And when that yard's overgrown, like a foot high, all of a sudden people are like, ugh, man, if they're not taking care of this, then what type of a homeowner is this? And what is the inside going to look like? So those negative connotations, like before they even walk in the house, is rough. But the next step is the entryway.
Yeah, so the entryway, just making sure there's enough lighting. Smell is huge. I think there could be a beautiful, let's say, fully updated house, exterior, interior, perfect. But I just feel like if they walk in and there's some kind of food smell or shoes or whatever, you know, especially if people are
like
living
feet.
there,
Yes.
that is something that I think is very hard for people to recover from, even if the smell is just in that entryway area.
Yeah.
Totally. We've had some weird things happen with smells, and we
Yeah.
had one house that we listed recently where they just got new carpet, and for some reason this new carpet was like fumigating marijuana smells.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
So people just kept saying like, the house smells like weed, like what's going on? And we're like, no, like they've never smoked in their life in the house. It's just the carpet smelled a certain way.
Man.
And so
Was
we
it
had
hemp
to.
carpet?
I have no idea.
I've
CBD
heard
carpet?
that
Yeah, I don't
happens
know.
a lot with new carpet, actually.
It's weird because I love the new carpet smell. I don't know what that means for me, but I really I love that because it smells like new construction sort of, but I think there's like a certain type of carpet that produces.
Must be the nylon stuff. Yeah, that's
Maybe.
weird.
Yeah, especially in the hot sun, you know, if you're not running your AC. So we had our homeowners run their AC more, open up some doors, windows, and then put a little bit, like just a light fragrance in the entryway to just try to help.
Emphasis on light.
Yeah.
If you get a headache or like, I don't have a very sensitive nose, but if I walk into a home and my eyes are watering because of the potpourri smell or whatever it is from the Glade plugins or whatever, it's just
Nothing too woodsy.
it feels like they're trying to cover something up. Like,
Right.
okay, you've got 3 cats. I'm like, that's the first instinct that I go to is you have 3 cats and you're trying to like mask that smell. So
Yeah. So have like light smells, because if you're getting like cinnamon or something, you know, that's kind of like an overpowering smell. And I think it causes suspicion. And if you were just putting it in there like, hey, clean laundry, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're just trying to decide a smell and you aren't trying to cover anything up, you're just trying to like create kind of a fun atmosphere, then it's better to go with like something very light. Or, you know, if somebody has an opinion about like lavender or vanilla or whatever, then that's going to come out and then that's going to cause a negative experience with the smell, even though you're trying to create a positive experience. So
it's tricky. Yeah, for sure. And I like smoke smells, tobacco smoke. Like, that's one where I'll walk in and walk right out, you know, like as if I'm looking as a prospective buyer. I think a lot of people are like that. They just don't want to deal with it. They don't, they doubt how long it's going to take or to what extent it's going to take to get that smell out of there. Will it ever smell normal again? You know, all those questions come up. So smells are important. And just how it looks when you first walk in. Like, what are some other things that can go wrong when buyers walk through the door?
I mean, here it's talking about like overall atmosphere and experience. I think just like if you're living there, I understand it's hard, but like having shoes put away or things put away in the coat closet, so it's not like, or maybe like a dirty mat. If you have like a dirty mat there, maybe take that away, or have like a cleaner mat, or a lot of things, just like have the floor as open as possible and not a lot of like rugs or anything covering the floor. Majority of the time, people have pretty nice floors, and people are like attracted to the hardwood floors or whatever is in the entryway typically.
Yeah.
And by this could even go for like bathrooms, kitchen, other things.
Big time.
I think when you're living there, rugs are beautiful, but I think when you're not living there,
They're comfortable.
It's better
Yeah,
to
they're comfortable.
advertise. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
It's better to advertise like the floor that's there, and it also allows the buyer to have a little bit more imagination and like kind of put their furniture in. And so I always think selling a house, less is more. You have less in the entryway, less throughout the house, even less in the front yard. What Gabby was talking about. So like not a ton of yard art, or
simplistic,
et cetera, whatever, little decorations people put in their front yard too.
Little details. I mean, like your key hooks right when you walk in with a bunch of keys on them, your coat rack with all the coats on it, like just clearing that stuff out. The decluttering, I think, is a big deal right when you walk in the door. And just line of sight too. Like how far can you see, and how far up can you see when you first walk in, or if there's anything restricting that.
That'll influence how big the home feels. Right?
Yep.
So the other thing that really influences that is, this is my pet peeve, is lighting. Like if I walk in, especially on a vacant home where the lights may be off and I'm turning the lights on, and it feels like I turned the lights on and then we're still having a seance in there instead of actually going around. It's like, okay, let's brighten it up. So that the natural light, like a lot of times people have the blinds closed or stuff like that for the solar and the heat, that aspect, I totally get it. But when you're showing your home, you're going to have to probably spend a little bit more on AC and keep things bright and shiny in there. So
yeah, that's a good point. Temperatures matter. You know, you can have a home that's way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter, and people start worrying about frozen pipes in Denver. And that's critical to have a temp that's like a good temp inside the house. A lot of people set it during the winter at like 65, something like that. During the summer, maybe 72, 73, something like that. But those are good temps to just set it and forget it, so that you're showing it, especially if it's vacant. It's worth it to run up the utility bill a little bit so that it's the right temp and you have proper lighting. Those are the two things that just really matter there.
Yep.
So super important. And there's three things that buyers instantly judge right when they walk in. Right? It's cleanliness, condition, and natural light. And so we hear all the time from buyers, this just feels dark in here. I don't know if I could see myself living here. We're in the light and bright style phase of 2026. So everybody loves light and bright with paints, with natural colors. And if they're seeing that when they walk in, they feel like, this house, it's updated. But if not, if it looks dark, then they're feeling like, I've gone to a time machine back 20 years, right? With the red dining room wall, and everybody had those in the early 2000s.
The maroon,
and so it's making sure that you nail it on those three things. Cleanliness is one that just takes upkeep. It's tough when you're a seller, especially when you've been on the market for 8, 12, 16, 20 weeks, and you're trying to keep up the cleanliness. Just in case that showing happens. It's easy to slouch on that, but that does make a huge difference when people walk through and the place is clean and looks sharp. It shows so much better. Many sellers think that buyers are evaluating square footage and finishes first, but in reality, like the way the home feels as far as how well cared for it is, and those first impressions just dramatically weigh into their decision on the property. And so What's interesting is that while buyers notice some things immediately, there are other things sellers obsess over that buyers barely even notice at all. And so it's important to point those out so you know what not to waste your time, energy, and effort on. So let's talk about some of those things.
Some of the things that like a seller will focus on is putting new windows in a home. That's one of my favorite ones, because what's the return on that investment? 10%. Mm-hmm. So you're not getting a big return on that. It's a marketing tool. Yeah, it's got new windows, but then most of the average homes that we're seeing are 25, 30 years old, so they're about due.
And sellers are like, they're going to feel the draft.
Yeah.
They're going to feel it.
Yeah. Or
they know.
So, and I've been in a home that had 20-year-old windows, but they spent the extra money to have someone come in and clean all the tracks, and they actually looked just like better than some of the new windows that are a year old. So just cleaning up things that most people wouldn't take the time to go do made a big difference. So it actually made me question how old the windows were because they were so clean. So, but what are some other things that people focus on, like as a seller's perspective, that you've seen where that they really hyper focus on? Like, oh, I'll update the bathroom or I'll update the family room, but I don't do the kitchen.
I think a lot of times they're overly concerned about unfinished spaces, like unfinished basements and garages. They think like, oh, can we put a bunch of stuff in those areas? Like buyers are going to be turned off by that, but it's not that big of a deal for buyers. You know, most buyers are like, yeah, whatever, it's unfinished. So there's just a lower level of expectation in those spaces, so you can kind of like stack things and put them on the sides of the walls in those areas and use it as a storage shed, and that tends to be just fine. Obviously, if you can take it out, but most sellers, just from a sanity standpoint, need a place to put stuff after decluttering the rest of the house. It's so much better to declutter the rest of the house and put it in an unfinished space than to have it spread out throughout the whole house, making every room look crowded.
Yeah, there's nothing like opening a closet door and having like all these things fall out, and it's just a mess. So minimalistic input there when it comes to closets and just declutter. And you could have 3 wardrobe boxes in the garage, and that's going to look a lot better than having cluttered closets. Yeah,
so for sure.
What some other things that I've seen is people will update some things that are very like personal to them. So they may have the rival football team, and they paint like all the colors in their room and that type of stuff. And that's just very polarizing for somebody who's not that, doesn't care about that football team or has a rivalry with it. Yeah. So making things very personal, or I don't know, the picture of the elk or the buck or the mount of the buck or the elk that you got in the hunting season. Some people might take offense to that. So
I just showed 7 homes yesterday to a Raiders fan. So that guy's turned off by any Bronco that he sees, unfortunately for him.
Well, he's buying in the wrong state.
Yeah.
Well, at least it wasn't Packers.
Didn't tell him my dying allegiance to the Broncos. But we'll agree to disagree.
I think like another thing, because our house is on the market right now, is we spent and obviously I work in real estate, and we spend so much time like on picture order. And I do this all the time, and I really don't think it matters. But now that I'm selling my house, I'm like, it really matters. People really care about seeing this first. And oh my gosh, this picture looks weird because the lighting is weird. Just all this stuff where it's like, at the end of the day, as a buyer, when I was buying a house, you scroll through the pictures so fast, and you're like, oh, it looks updated. I want to see it. Oh, it doesn't look updated. And you can go through the pictures and find that out pretty quickly. Yep. And like, typically houses have average updates throughout, or they're super updated throughout. It's kind of, in my experience, like looking at comps, it's not like one room is super updated and the rest of the house is like super not. I mean, typically people are like kind of upgrading everything at the same progression, if that makes sense. And so that was just kind of funny to experience, where we spent an hour doing that, when it's like, you typically just do the walkthrough of the house. Yeah. And like I said, they're looking at it so fast, they're not really paying attention to every little, like the table leg is a slightly weird color or something, right? Like that's what I was looking at. Yeah.
This is the best training you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Now you're being forced to think like a seller who we help all the time. Yeah. It's crazy. When I've sold my own homes, I can't believe how emotional I get, and how it's what they said. What for feedback? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Why would they say that? I love all 19 of my pictures going up the stairs of our family. It's just like, it's such an emotional thing, and I've overpriced my own home twice. Yeah. Both times I've sold my own home, I've overpriced it. So it's just the emotional value. Oftentimes you get so stuck on the memories, on, all your time in the house really builds value to you, but it doesn't necessarily for the rest of the market. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the market's looking at comparables. They're looking at it more subjectively. The emotions do matter, right, with the upgrades, but they're looking at things, in a kind of more of a logical way as well.
Those are not the emotions you're looking for, because they're not part of your family. Yeah. They weren't there for the prom pictures on the stairs.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Yeah. Or just even little things where you're like, this vase is the prettiest vase I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm going to put it out, or whatever. Like, I think just less is more, like that allows them to have more of an imagination to like fill the kitchen with their own decorations or fill the living room with, their own stuff. So it's like even a decoration that you think is beautiful that's not even a family photo, probably best to leave it out.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when you sold it your own home, you start to get a lot nicer on your feedback too. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. They must have been having a hard day. That's why the house wasn't cleaned. Or, it's like you understand a lot better. It's tough to sell a house. So we help with that, and try to coach you through it and keep you energized throughout the process, because it's not for the weak. That's for sure. Awesome. So the other thing is first impressions, they affect other people too.
Yeah, and emotional connection also creates urgency for offers. So that might make a potential buyer move a lot quicker if they did get a good first impression and good emotional connection from when they initially entered the house. And so a better first impression creates a stronger offer as well, because I had a situation kind of like this last week. My aunt actually saw a house and she ended up just loving it. And they had no other offers or anything, but she just wanted to offer immediately after she saw it and wanted to offer at full price, even though she wasn't technically competing with anyone or anything. So that can really help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to go off of that, I know my husband, when he bought his first condo, it was like 4th of July weekend. And there was him and another person walking through the house. So on the other side of it, typically when there's two people that want to look at the house at the same time, the seller's always like, should I decline one and accept one, or should I reschedule one of them? And we're like, nope, accept all of them, because when there's more showings happening at the same time, that creates urgency. And so my husband was looking at a house. There was also somebody else in the house. And it was 4th of July weekend, which we kind of know is not when people are looking at houses typically. But other people could think, it's 4th of July weekend, everybody's looking at houses. Like, that kind of thing creates urgency. And so they ended up, well, then he was like, I don't even know if I can offer. These people are going to probably put in an offer too. It sounded like they liked it. And he put in an offer that day at asking and got it. And the other people ended up not even putting in an offer. But, at the time, he didn't know that. And so always, if you have the opportunity to do 2 showings at the same time, which I know doesn't happen all the time, but if it does, use that to your advantage.
Totally. Always have the overlap if you can.
That's another good example of what sellers think matters, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. It's better.
Yeah, they're like, is that going to hinder their experience with other people in the house?
Yep.
And it's like, in the way that you want it to.
Yeah,
Like,
it actually works in your favor.
Yeah.
So, buyers are a lot like Seabiscuit, the movie, when the horse, right? That's like, it's trudging along, and then the minute, what made Seabiscuit special was when it saw another horse in its side eye, then it just took off. And that was the competitive advantage that Seabiscuit had, was just it did not want to lose out to anybody else that was catching up to him. Boom, he would just take off.
Yeah.
And so buyers can be like that sometimes, where they just putt around, they'll circle around a listing, they'll linger for weeks, and then the minute they hear that somebody else is going to get the house that they've been thinking about and dreaming about, then they're like, whoa, hold on. Let's put an offer together. Let's go.
Yep.
And that's just what happens. And sometimes it's competitive people that do that, or it's just the nature of how we are as humans, and we don't want to lose something that's emotionally, we're drawn to.
Yeah.
So I think that's key. So what are some checklists, some things that sellers can take away from this so that they're prepared and they don't lose buyers in the first 10 seconds?
Yeah, so I think just overall what we talked about, make sure that the lawn is maintained. Again, I know right now it's hard with the grass and making sure that stays watered and nice and green, but it does really make a big difference.
Yeah. And we have Spencer on our team. His wife works at a company that does lawn maintenance, mowing and sprinklers. So we can lean on their company. Keystone is a great company that does that here in our local area. So that's one we've got covered, for anybody that needs that kind of help.
Yeah. And just landscaping, yeah. So, like you said, just make sure that the lawn looks good, make sure it's watered. Like I said about the yard art, just try to have minimal everything inside and outside. Make sure the walkway is clear. So those of you that have kids, very understandable, and you're living in the house, but just try to get those toys tucked away the best that you can. And, you know, I think buyers can be understanding, you know, if it's kind of in like a hidden area or an unfinished area, or, you know, so maybe put it on the side of the house or in the garage or something. And then, yeah, just make sure that the front door is clean, because that can make a big difference. And I think, like, how often do people clean their front doors?
Yeah.
Probably never. So just make sure that front door area is like clear and looking clean.
No cobwebs.
Yeah. Make sure the lights are on in the house. So if you are living in the house and there's a showing, just try to get those lights on. Or maybe if you aren't living there, try to have a neighbor go over there and turn on the lights or something. Make sure all the blinds are open so there's as much natural light coming in, that natural smell, you know, no like overpowering smells, a good temperature. So yeah, spending a little bit more in the winter and in the summer to get that to be a comfortable temperature. Because I think same thing, like if it's hot in the summer and it's hot in the house, that's going to hinder their experience. And I think it's going to cause like, oh, does their AC work? Do they have an AC? Maybe they don't have an AC. Maybe it's broken. And that's a very expensive thing to replace. So that's going to be kind of a red flag for them. Yeah. And like I said, less is more. So if you can have really nothing on the countertop in the kitchen,
Minimal.
that would be probably ideal. Or in the bathrooms too, and the showers. So yeah, just like listing our house, like I said, we try to just put everything underneath the sink, and even like the stuff in the shower underneath the sink, so that like the showers and all that looks really clear.
Yeah.
So
Makes a big difference.
And
yeah,
it all comes down to one question. Would a buyer feel excited to live in this house, right? That's what you want to ask yourself as far as when you pull up to it, when you walk in the front door, does a buyer feel that like, yeah, I live here. This is awesome. I'm glad I live here. That sort of feeling. If the answer is yes, then you're on the right track. So as far as what we hope you take away from this whole experience is, you know, we want to make sure that sellers know what's important to buyers as they walk through the door and what's not important. So hopefully you took away some good things there. We're here to guide you if you're buying a house or selling a house, especially as we've talked about a lot of these key tips. We can help your specific situation because every house is different. So you may think you've got it nailed down, but after we walk through, we may point out a few other things that could be big differentiators to help you get your place sold for top dollar. And so if you live anywhere in the Denver metro area, we'd love to chat with you, talk about those first critical seconds and moments that buyers are going to have walking up to your house and going inside. And so if we can help, feel free to reach out. We've got our number right here in the description. You can definitely call us or text us there, and we're happy to cater to your specific situation and make sure that we do the best we can to help you sell for top dollar in this Denver market. So thanks again for joining us on the Getting to Know Denver podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.